What's the difference between a Jewish pessimist and a Jewish optimist? The pessimist says things can't possibly get any worse. And the optimist replies, of course they can. Each year, as I prepare for the High Holy Days, which essentially feels like tomorrow for next year, I ask myself, what is the sermon that people need to hear right now? Inevitably, I end up giving the sermon that I need to hear. My hope is that it speaks to you as well. Because this year I've been wrestling with overwhelm, cynicism, and despair. The morning news is relentless. Mass shootings, climate devastation, rampant racism, anti-Semitism, threats to democracy. It's easy to feel crushed under the weight of it all. And then overwhelm slides into cynicism. Efforts at various legislation that we all think should happen, or protests on the right or the left in Israel seem ineffective. Forests burn, cities flood, racism and white supremacy protest and persist. Cynicism whispers, why bother? And from there, it's not far to get to despair. Nothing can change, so why try? But friends, we are not the first generation to feel this way. Our parents and grandparents' generation faced the Great War. They faced the Great Depression. They faced World War II. They survived pogroms, displacement, the Holocaust. Every generation has wondered if it has ever been this bad. And yet, here we are. We are still Jewish. We are still here. And we will not be the last. So how do we navigate the cycle of overwhelm and cynicism and despair without being consumed by it? Luckily, Jewish tradition, supported by psychology and science, gives us guidance. Overwhelm, one writer describes it as the sensation just before we shut down, just before we break down or blow up or blow off our responsibilities. Sound familiar? Jewish ethics offers us an antidote. It tells us the day is short, the task is great. It is not your duty to finish the work, but you are neither free to neglect from it. In other words, start where you are. Focus on what is right in front of you, the task at hand. Stay present and in the moment. Remember, if you wish, the Yiddish teaching, one tuchus can't sit in 10 chairs. Cynicism, that scornful jadedness that can accompany a feeling of being overwhelmed, feels protective, but it's actually corrosive. It frees us from obligation. If nothing works anyway, why bother? But cynicism is contagious. One neuroscientist notes that it poisons our relationships, causing us to react to imagined worst versions of others instead of the real people around us. Take the following cautionary tale about a man who simply wanted to borrow his neighbor's rake. But he thinks to himself, if I borrow his rake, I'll probably break it or forget to return it. Then he'll get mad. Then he'll tell his wife, who will stop speaking to my wife. Then she'll get mad at me. Then we'll have a fight. It'll spoil our anniversary plans, and the kids will probably stop playing together. And then we might even have to move. He goes on like this for a while until finally he storms over to his neighbor's house, bangs on the door, and when the neighbor opens the door, the man yells, "Keep your damn rake!" Stalks off and never speaks to him again. Because cynicism unchecked can make us lash out or withdraw unnecessarily. Luckily, Jewish ethics offers a remedy when it says, judge every person favorably. Give others the benefit of the doubt. Look for the spark of good. Practice the Jewish value of gratitude. You hear me mentioning this all the time, but the Talmud teaches that we should aim for 100 blessings a day. From the moment we awake to the moment we go to sleep at night, we have opportunities to be grateful. Opening our eyes to the blessings around us softens the blow of all the bad news that comes our way and opens our heart that is closed by cynicism. One therapist suggests a daily meditation when she said, just for today, I'm going to see opportunity instead of obstacle, kindness instead of apathy, light instead of darkness, love instead of hate, beauty instead of chaos, and blessing instead of lack. And another defense against both overwhelm and cynicism is to consider the very foundation of Judaism. Shema Yisrael. Adonai is one. One is a powerful number. One can make a difference by taking one step. We don't know who really said it first, but it's not just a truism that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. The Red Sea parted for the Israelites. The Midrash teaches us when Nachshon, the first Israelite, stepped into the water. He took that first step for all of us. And it was either the Dalai Lama or an African proverb that says, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping in a room with a mosquito. Because Yom Kippur tells us the opposite. We have the power to make tomorrow different than today. Because despair is human, but it's not Jewish. In fact, as one rabbi put it, it is forbidden to despair. Not that that really helps, really. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs taught us that to be a Jew is to be an agent of hope in a world seriously threatened by despair. Every ritual, every mitzvah, every syllable of the Jewish story is a protest against resignation. So here are some of the tools that are right in front of us. Teshuvah, return. Return by definition is that word. Return is a change of direction. Return to a loved one. Return to that inner strength. And a change of direction, no matter how small means that tomorrow will not be just like today. Even if we can change nothing else, we can change ourselves. As Rabbi Israel Salanter said, when I was young, I wanted to change the world, but it was too difficult. So I tried to change my country. When I couldn't change my country, I began to focus on my town. I discovered that I couldn't, and so I grew older. I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realize that the only thing I can change is myself. I've come to recognize that if long ago I had started with myself, then I could have had an impact on my family. And my family could have had an impact on our town. And in turn, we could have changed the country and indeed changed the world. Tefillah, prayer. Prayer comes from the Hebrew word, carries the meaning of intervention, intercession, taking account. The verb form of prayer in Hebrew is reflexive. Means that prayer reflects back on us. Prayer, especially on a day like today, prayer is self-accounting, which, like teshuvah I just mentioned, makes a difference. So prayer matters. It changes the world because it changes us. It brings the divine presence into our lives and gives us the strength we didn't even know we had. And on the surface, it may very well seem like praying is leaving the work of solving our problems up to God. It can actually inspire us to come up with our own solutions. And prayer, when shared in community, is an accounting of all of our lives. It restores our hearts. It builds resilience. It inspires action. As Heschel wrote and recorded one of my favorite prayers, prayer cannot bring water to a parched field. Prayer cannot mend a broken bridge. Prayer cannot rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul. Prayer can mend a broken heart. And prayer can rebuild a weakened will. As prayer is also a connector to our souls, to each other, to God. And our most important prayers are the ones that are said in the company of community. As Rabbi Harold Kushner said, something miraculous happens when people come together seeking the presence of God. The miracle is that we so often find it. And lastly, tzedakah, which is, friends, so much more than charity. Tzedakah is almost impossible to translate because of its many shadings of meaning. Yeah, it can mean charity, but can also mean righteousness or justice or integrity or equity or fairness or even innocence. Small acts of tzedakah can restore meaning and can lift us out of our own paralysis. Last week I shared what Viktor Frankl, the psychotherapist, shared and taught about having survived Auschwitz, when he dedicated himself to giving other prisoners the will to live. He helped each of them to find a task that was calling to them, something they had not done yet, but that only they could do. He helped them survive that moment by teaching them to hear the future calling to them. As one rabbi said, one question asked in faith has the power to change a life. What is God calling on me to do in these circumstances at this time? Each of us has a task. Every single one of us has a purpose. And we can bear the pain of the present when we discover that in the future we are called upon to do that action. So this high holiday season, the call is clear. Start where you are. Resist that overwhelm with focus and presence. Combat cynicism with generosity of spirit and gratitude. Fight despair by action, by returning, by giving. I pray that in this new year, when we are each feeling overwhelmed, may we find that perspective. When we are cynical, may we see the blessings. And when we despair, may we know the task that God has set for us, and may we successfully rise to meet it. Kini hi ratson, may this be God's will, as together we say, Amen.